your style and your methodology doesn't necessarily align with a lot of the behavioral advice and sort of techniques out there at the moment. So where does this stem from?
The first clue is dog behavioral problems, and preventing them, curing them are very difficult with the current systems that we're using and the training mindset. Regardless of which training techniques you're looking at, they fall very short, and as evidenced by dogs being surrendered and losing their homes in record numbers. And all this while dogs mean so much to so many of us. We're putting time and money and effort in it like no other before. So why are the behavioral problems escalating instead of doing the opposite?
Welcome to the Pause and Effect podcast. I'm Dr. Cara, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that challenges traditional approaches to raising our canine companions. Our guest is Angie Winters, a dog parenting coach and author who has worked with over 1,000 dogs. Angie offers a fresh perspective in her new book, Don't Train Your Dog, a pet parenting guide to teaching good behavior, calming fear, and raising happy dogs. Angie argues that traditional dog training methods often fall short for family dogs. Instead, she advocates for a parenting approach that provides firm yet supportive guidance to help dogs thrive in our homes. Today, we'll explore why training might not be the answer for your family dog and how to embrace a more natural, nurturing way of raising a well-behaved and content companion. Angie Winters, a very, very warm welcome to the Pause and Effect podcast. I'm so excited to chat to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit more about you. Where are you based? I'm not talking to you in person, obviously, so we're doing this quite remotely. Where are you and what have you been up to this morning?
Yes, I'm in the States. I'm in Ohio. So near, just north of Columbus, Ohio, if anybody's familiar with that. But yep. And we also have a Parenting for Dogs office that's based out of Northern California, where they do a lot of the work out of there.
Absolutely. And the exciting thing and the reason I'm talking to you is you have published a book all about parenting dogs, which is very exciting. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's no small task.
No, I can imagine. How long did it take you?
Worth it. Well, this is what I tell people. I've been working with dogs, very severe behavioral problems for over 28 years. So it takes me some years to learn how to, fix everything, for a short way of putting it. And then the concept of the book from begin to end and publishing was 4 years.
Wow. So it's been a labor of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Yes. It's one of those things where, you can't stop, because when you can help dogs and you see dog after dog and into the thousands that you're helping, stopping is not an option. So it doesn't matter if it takes 10 years or 4 years or what, it takes what it takes.
So you're a true advocate for helping, training and managing sort of behavioral issues in our pet companions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So
immersed in it.
Immersed in it's your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you've got a little bit of a different approach, and this is why I was itching to talk to you, because your style and your methodology doesn't necessarily align with a lot of the behavioral advice and sort of techniques out there at the moment.
Right.
Is that right? So where does this stem from?
So, the first clue is, as you know, and I'm sure you've seen, dog behavioral problems, and preventing them, curing them are very difficult with the current systems that we're using and the training mindset. Regardless of which training techniques you're looking at, they fall very short, and as evidenced by dogs, being surrendered and losing their homes in record numbers. And all this while dogs mean so much to so many of us, nearly all of us, and they're our family members, and we're putting time and money and effort in it like no other before. So why are the behavioral problems escalating instead of doing the opposite? So that's the first clue. So that is why my techniques are different. And I've been doing this for 28 years, like I said. And so, but now society is come to the point where they're ready to hear what I have to say. Before, it was just like seeing it with your own eyes, pet parent after pet parent, and then seeing some of my videos that I've made, pet parent, and then now it's now it's gone into a bigger form where, I'm trying to reach millions, and I'm determined to reach millions of pet parents with the book, my book, and hence the name, Don't Train Your Dog.
Don't train your dog. I mean, that is quite a statement.
Yes. Yeah. And it's true. It's not a play on words. It's reality. Yeah.
So take us through the basis of what you mean by don't train your dogs, because obviously, that invokes a lot of, well, that's ridiculous. We need dogs that are behaving. I need to be able to, for example, get my dog back from the gate, or to stop them leaving the house. Like, how am I meant to do that if I'm not training my dog? What do you mean by parenting your dog versus dog training or traditional dog training?
Yeah. So, I'm very familiar with dog training. I've trained. It's fun, but it's mainly what I consider tricks for treats. So sit for a treat, do this. And so you've either got these pet parents are just seem to be paralyzed, and they're afraid to make a move because here's your choices: super harsh obedience training or overly permissive training, where, both end up with fearful, aggressive dogs with problems, a lot of anxiety. So I teach this sweet spot, this parenting sweet spot, based on nature. And when you think about it, how I believe dogs are so different. They're radically different than other domesticated animals to us, because they're born, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, they're born, and studies show they're born to look to us for help automatically. It's not something they learn. They read our facial expressions, finger pointing to locate objects. So that's born in. We don't teach them that. They're already looking to us. So dogs have already got that connection, and they're working with that emotional and intellectual connection we have with them, but we're not. We're going, let's trick for treats. So that is where the disconnect comes, because they're looking to us for guidance. And so, and we're giving them tricks for treats, or here, sit for a treat. And then parents are like, oh, look, it's working. Look how smart he is. Look how fast he learned that. And then it just really goes off the rails so quickly where family behavior is concerned, because none of those things teach them not to chase a kid, bite kids, surf the counter for leftover bacon, run out the door when you open it. Typical training cannot teach them the family skills they need in today's modern families. It just simply can't do it. So here's parents laboring over this, and dogs are losing their homes no matter how much we try, or they try. And so that's where, I'm unable to sleep at night. So I have to get this information out to everybody. But I have to get it in the simplest form so that it works. It's one thing for me to figure out how to do it, but that doesn't do dogs any good if I can't get it to parents and make it simple enough for them to use in their busy daily lives.
Absolutely. So give us an example of how you would approach a particular case then. So let's say you have the pulling on the lead. That's often a very typical reason why owners get really frustrated.
Right.
And where we're talking about sort of food rewards, how would your approach vary from the typical training that you've come across for that example?
Yeah, so I do use treats, absolutely. And I go out of my way to catch them doing good behavior, having good behavior, good state of mind, relaxing around kid chaos, different things that are, not going after food. So you go out of your way to catch them doing those things, because people a lot of times miss that. They're just like, no, no, no. And they don't even pay attention to the, you cannot provide, you've got to provide the yes also. So this starts making a balance between the no's and the yes, what I call firm but supportive dog parenting. So I'm firm about the rules, and there's 5 big stuff rules to focus on, which regard, don't run outdoors, aggression is not allowed, those kind of things. And then forget about all the small stuff about, get out of the mindset of I need to have him sit for a treat. That's fun. That's great. Do that after. Yes. But the mainly important thing is to understand that I want you to stay calm when kids are running by, or, always have them redirect them to the toys for their fulfillment and instead of chasing kids for their fulfillment. Okay. But there's certain ways you do that, and you have to tap into that emotional entanglement, which is a lot of times just scoffed off in I'm sure you understand in the veterinary community, as in, oh, you're treating them like humans. And it's like, but to totally deny that emotional entanglement there is a disservice to humans and dogs, because it's already there. Like we talked about it, they're born with it. So to use that, you already get this guidance where look to me, just like you would look to me for help if a tennis ball got stuck under a couch. You know how they automatically do that? Looking, oh, it's stuck, Mom. And you run over to help it. It's just an automatic thing between us. So I use that connection and that balanced guidance. No, not this, but yes, here's what you can do. Okay. But it in the book lays it out by chapter so that it builds and builds and builds. So it's not complicated, right? Here's simply what you do. So the book goes from a high level perspective of how we're actually living with dogs and they're part of our families, all the way down to just here's exactly how you do it. Right? When they're approaching the door, you do this. You can displace them, back them up. You get their eye contact for a second. It's just emotionally neutral. Disagree. But here's what you can do. And then you show them exactly what behavior you want them to do instead of that behavior, because it's just an incomplete teaching moment to say the no and not to provide the yes. Right? But people get confused with typical dog training because all they're thinking they're providing the yes with just a distraction. Right. Just here, look over here. Okay. Here's a treat. Here's, it's an order of which you do it, which I put into a recipe, which is recognize the behavior when you need to intervene, approach it. And here's your 3 or 4 options for approaching this particular problem, depending on which one you're dealing with. Typical household family problems. I call it learning family skills. And then approach it, disagree with it, get a little eye contact. Because they need that little bit of eye contact. It's not a harsh pointing at you. That's not what it's about. It's just like, hey, look, let it sink in for a second, then provide the yes, right? So because only an action can truly replace another action for a dog. You can't just shut something down and not give another avenue.
And you don't want to be reinforcing bad behavior, which is often what owners are doing, not even aware of the fact that they're doing it.
By accident. Exactly. Yeah. They're doing it by accident.
Even treating at the wrong time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because typical dog training will lead you to believe that you can do it with just a treat. You can't. You have to do it with the relationship and then add in the treats. But part of my study, and that I did it for so many years, and I did the worst of the worst cases, like what I only got dogs after they were deemed unfixable. So typical parents aren't going to see the things that I saw, so it's easier for me. That's an easy thing to address what they're dealing with compared to what I've done for so many years. But I've done it all. I've done regular raising from puppies and all that. But the reason why it seems so difficult to them is because that's the worst they've seen. And then here's your tools, treats or be super harsh, and neither one of those works. And then they're like, there's something wrong with my dog. I'm going to have to rehome him, or he's biting children, or, that's why the adoption is not successful. It's because they don't have the exact skills. So now I took all the things that I've discovered, especially about fear, which we can talk about that later a little bit too, because that's a more in-depth subject. Put them into recipes. Here is the what's not allowed recipe. So here's how you teach a dog what's not allowed in your family, right? And then so there's recipes for teaching things, recipes for what I call the kind kid and confident canine recipe for interaction between dogs and kids. It works. So you put them all into recipes, and then I have prescriptions for fixing the things that need fixed, like aggression and fear.
Hello, I'm Dr. Cara, a veterinarian and the host of the Pause and Effect podcast. Our show is all about enhancing the lives of pets by providing reliable, science-based advice and engaging in discussions with experts in veterinary medicine, pet nutrition, and animal behavior. As a professional with years of experience in both the UK and South Africa, I run a 24-hour veterinary hospital and an online pet store. I'm also pursuing a master's in animal nutrition and consult for UltraPet, a local veterinary-grade pet food manufacturer. My passion lies in sharing knowledge and helping pet owners make informed decisions about their pet companions. The Pause and Effect podcast is rapidly growing, attracting a dedicated and engaging audience of pet owners who are passionate about their pets' health and well-being. Our listeners trust us for credible, informative content that empowers them to provide the best care for their animals. We are looking for sponsors who share our commitment to pet health and who want to reach a highly engaged and expanding audience. Partnering with us means aligning your brand with trusted and influential content that resonates deeply with pet owners. As a sponsor, you'll benefit from high visibility on a platform that is used for multiple purposes, including educational content, product recommendations, and community building. We offer various sponsorship packages designed to fit your marketing goals and budget, ensuring that your brand gets the reach and the impact it deserves. Join us in making a difference in the lives of pets and their families. Let's work together to bring valuable insights and quality products to our passionate audience. If you're interested in sponsoring the Pause and Effect podcast, please get in touch. I look forward to partnering with you. Before we continue, let's address a critical aspect of feline health: weight management. Allow me to introduce you to UltraPet's special diet, Metabolite cat weight loss food. It is available in 2 kg and 4 kg packs, specially crafted to support your cat's well-being and vitality. This recipe isn't just about reducing weight, it's about promoting healthy weight and management. With 34% protein, 11% fat, and 4% fiber, it helps control lean muscle mass while maintaining a healthy weight, ensuring optimal nutrient absorption. Featuring a tantalizing chicken and rice flavor, UltraPet ensures that even the picky eaters will enjoy their meals. The vacuum-coated kibbles deliver a taste experience that your cats will love. What sets this weight loss food apart is its formulation made with fresh meat, providing a healthier source of protein. Plus, the added addition of taurine supports good eyesight development and a healthy cardiac activity. With omega-6 and 3 fatty acids, this food promotes a shiny coat and a healthy skin. Additionally, the inclusion of VitaCat ensures essential vitamins and minerals for healthy development and immune system protection. The prebiotics in this formula create an environment for microflora to flourish, further supporting your cat's digestive health. UltraPet's special diet, Metabolite, is an ideal choice for overweight cats. Just ask Freya, my Bengal, who has thrived on this diet. Give it a try and see the difference for yourself. Your cats will thank you, and you'll appreciate UltraPet's commitment to feline health. Now, back to our episode. How much does this, though, rely on improving the actual connection with I'm saying the pet you're talking about sort of them as family members here, and I'm talking about them very functionally with that statement. But are you encouraging a closer bond? Are you saying you need to be more available for your pets and more in tune with them? Is that the basis of a lot of this training?
I think it is. You need to learn more what they're thinking, but once you read the book, it's just like, the light bulbs go on. You're like, oh, that's why he was doing that. Oh, that's how the dog saw it. Okay. It's not stuff they've seen before. So it's new to them. It will be new to them, and it's new to people they see it. But then it's one of those things that it's so common sense and it's so real that the light bulbs start going on. They're like, oh, that's why he does that. Oh, I've seen him do that. So they're just not noticing it. Their dog's looking to them for guidance. The connection's already there. Yes, you do have to earn their trust and respect, but just by following this firm but supportive guidance, parenting, it forms it there. They don't have to think about it and work on it. They just need to do the recipe, do what's in the book, and it's already there. Like the connection is already there. We're born with that connection. You already love your dog, right? You already love your dog, and the dog loves you. It's just that you're unhappy with their behavior because you don't exactly know how to teach them what you want them to do.
Yeah. I think my question comes also because, there's a lot of discussion that I've had with vets as well as obviously other behaviour or trainers that there is a concern about this emerging connection. Not because, that's lovely that people are loving their pets, so that means they're more likely to improve their health care and manage the behavioural things, work harder to try and get through any issues. You can see it's psychologically better for them as family members and health-wise. They're walking their dogs, they're active. So many benefits for having pets. But the concern that we've discussed before in terms of this tying into becoming a pet parent and humanizing these pets is that often that is now setting off behavioral issues. I spoke to someone before about people going to the extent of having their pets in the bed rather than the husband because they don't like the husband to get in the bed, and they're like, well,
I would say
it's
it all
part
the
of the family. Absolutely.
See it all the time.
So how do you your guidance? How do you actually manage those kind of boundaries? Because you're wanting the connection, but you don't want behavioral consequences to these emerging connections. So how do you manage that?
Well, it's really simple because it's the same as you would manage it with children. So like every parent's not going to do it exactly, a good balance with the child either. So, if you have a tendency towards that as a parent, like I'm just going to let my child do whatever, you've got permissive or overly strict parenting, which is actually compared to in the book. The reason why I call it parenting for dogs is because my definition of parenting is providing love, guidance, and support to vulnerable members of the family, right? So I don't think they're humans, and I don't think they need to be human in order to be a member of the family. They just are. They just already are. And we all feel it and we all know it. It's just that they do have the desire to do it. And it's great that viewing it from a parental perspective keeps you out of that typical dog training tricks for treat mindset, right? So that helps right off the bat. But then, as you probably see, they do more effort taking care of them physically and everything. And that's good. But the only thing they have to work with is the dog training mentalities that they've seen, right? Because it's nearly impossible to find. I'm sure there are other people in the world somewhere doing something similar to what I'm doing, but not to this extent, not to this, creating it all out of 28 years of being immersed in these problems you're talking about. Like I'm not saying that this is not a pie in the sky fantasy world. Like, oh, if you just pick the right kind of dog, or if you just do this one thing, you're not going to have problems with kids. That's not how it works. Right. But it actually is so much simpler when you see what's in the book and you're like, that is simple. I don't even know why I didn't think of it before, because I think that if they have this information, they'll be able to know how to strike that balance, which is what I call hitting the parenting sweet spot, where no aggression is allowed. So, attacking a human or getting a human not to go into bed, that's aggression being allowed, not allowed. Right. But they just don't know how to disagree with it. And they don't know how to teach that that's unacceptable in a way they feel comfortable with. And that's why I've created these prescriptions and recipes. They will feel comfortable with it. I mean, there's always going to be a certain amount of outliers who would just refuse to give their child or their pet or dog any structure. But the large majority can do this and they feel good about it. They're just thinking about it in the wrong way. We've just been taught. Our mind is in a wrong spot about it. And that's not loving your dog by allowing it to bite kids or do that thing. Of course, you protect your dog. You protect all family members, but you do it with this. So when I say parenting, this will be what you're probably looking for. Yes. Parenting is I call it parenting because it is providing love, support, and guidance to vulnerable members of the family. So that's children and kids. But the way you parent a dog is drastically different than you provide it to a kid. Does that make sense? Yes. And the book explains exactly how you do that. So I'm not suggesting you treat them like children because they can't understand the same things. They understand some of the few things at a certain level. A child, there's differences. You can speak to them later. You can talk to them about past, present, future. You can give them a little more subtle guidance where dogs need black and white guidance in the moment they're feeling what they're feeling. Right. And so that the recipes and everything take all that into account. Be emotionally neutral, apply this recipe at the moment that you see this physical behavior or, any kind of stiffening of the body, the eyes, that, I just go through all the body behavior. Apply the recipe. Here's why you're applying it. By the time they get to the recipes and they read the overlying perspective of parenting dogs, they'll feel comfortable with applying the recipes and the prescriptions. And I say through vast experience with pet parents.
So what are I think you mentioned the big 5 no-nos on your list. What are the things that you say just not going to tolerate this?
I like to say them in order that they come in the book because like I said, this book, the first time you read it, it is a workbook. So it's made to go back and forth. The recipes are highlighted out, downloadable from our website. There's a digital companion. You can watch videos that go along with it. So if you want, if they don't want to watch it, I'll actually should probably show the book. Don't train your dog.
Oh, well done.
And see some of the recipes will be like, let me show you an example of the recipes. Here's explaining that dogs are so connected to you, right? Watch what's on your facial expression. your body language, your energy. But again, this builds. I just wanted to show you one of the recipes, for example, so you could.
Absolutely.
Here's the what's not allowed recipe.
Okay, so tell us what's not allowed.
Okay, so what's not allowed is, first of all, number one rule, no aggression. Okay. And people incorrectly believe that they're protecting their dog if they allow their dog to, for instance, be aggressive towards a child. Well, the child moved wrong, and I get it, right? That, we're going to teach children, but you have to address both children and dogs to teach them what is, that no aggression is allowed. No aggression is allowed from kid to kid, from dog to dog, from kid to dog, right? You're teaching them all, but the recipe shows you exactly how to address it, and that you need to address the dog first to relieve his mind or her mind immediately. And the moment she's feeling that, we don't do that. Okay. But here's what you can do. And then go and make them do the rest of the recipe that makes them feel comfortable around kids. You're just teaching the dog that a kid falling beside them is not an aggressive action. Okay. Whoops, play it down. That's it. Whoops. What's that kid doing here? We don't no aggression, but here's what you can do. What was that boy falling down? Just blow it off into their mind, because they're reading you emotionally. So then they're like, oh, okay, I guess that wasn't. If you come in harsh with the child right then while the dog's watching you, don't, be careful with doggies. Like if you come in panicked and at the child, the dog sees you doing that to the child and he's like, I was right about that being a terrible thing that just happened to me, because mom was scared and she gave him a correction for it. So the next time the dog will do the correction for you. Because he believes he's doing the right thing, because that's what you did.
Yep.
See?
Absolutely.
So you address the dog first, which upon first glance appears like, wait, that's not fair. Why am I aggressing the dog first when he was scared? Or, they get aggressive because they're scared. That's 90% of all aggression is from being afraid, right? But you still have to address it and then teach them in a way that a dog understands another action and another choice. They can develop self-control.
In the moment.
They make choices, right? You have to provide them right in the moment, and then address the child after that, and now and later, because children can understand that as they grow now and later. The dog needs the instruction at that moment.
Okay. So number 2, what's the other no-no?
And this, you would think these are tied together, but they're not exactly tied together. No teeth on human skin. And you teach that from the time they're a puppy. It's different because a lot of times this misunderstanding happens, not the dog's fault, because children and adults will play with dogs and their teeth will touch their skin, or sometimes they'll even play, they play with that mouth and they're going at their mouth like, and they do like fake growling and, it's all cute, right?
Guilty.
It's all cute
guilty.
when they're younger. Yeah. Right. But then your dog has put your teeth on human skin. Right. So you didn't disagree with it. Every time a tooth touches your skin, you're like, no, here's a toy.
Fascinating.
You can put your teeth on these things. You cannot put your teeth on these things because, as you know, dogs only understand black and white guidance. So now you've told them it was okay to put their teeth on human skin. And just because they bit a little harder than one time, they
now
still have always thought they were allowed to put teeth on their human skin.
Okay.
So that's why I put that out.
It's different.
As a different rule, because there's a little difference to some of that. Number 3, chew only dog toys. So then I give exactly how to teach, only teach them that, these are the only things you can chew or dog toys. And I play with dog toys, and you play with your dog toys, and you act like it's the best thing that's ever happened is you're playing with these toys. And then the dog follows it. And so then every time they're chewing something else, but here's what you can chew. And when you give them a new toy, this is for Bodhi. This is for Bodhi. You make sure you instruct to them, this is for you. These shoes aren't for you. So they're easily tell the difference between that. It's just that people give them too many toys too quickly, and they're spread out all over the house. They let them go all over the house. Okay, you start out with just 3 or 4 items in a controlled area, right? And then you bring in one disallowed item, and then bring in a pair of shoes. And then as soon as they go to put their teeth on that, they very quickly. But here's what you can do, and let's play with these toys. They very quickly.
Very clever.
Figure out,
that.
So, this book isn't just about ideas and philosophies.
No.
This tells exactly how to do it.
Practical advice. Okay, so number 4.
Number 4 is permission is needed to go outside.
Oh.
Permission is needed to go out the door. Because, that's a big safety issue. You can't come and sweep the kids' legs or sweep my legs as you're running out the door. We don't go out the door. Just because the door's open doesn't mean you can run out it. So the connection
Does that
I'm telling
apply
you about
to coming in?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, when you call them in.
A lot of
Yeah.
South Africans say we'll have their dogs. They still love their dogs, but we'll have their dogs outside, maybe have the cats inside. I'm using my case example. And I'm fortunate. This was not even something that I thought I was training, but they know the threshold. They're not allowed to come over the threshold. So they actually are quite good. I can leave the door open.
Yeah.
For example, you're bringing shopping in and, you're worried about the dogs chasing the cats through the house. They know that threshold is a no-go. So you can teach both you're not going to leave, but you can also, that same rule would apply for South African pet owners where they don't want their pets to even come in.
Right. Well, I mean, I keep dogs in the home with the family. So, I mean, I believe they should be inside. It's not that they can't have a life, because you could give them, it takes effort, but you could give them a life, but they deserve to be included, and they want to, they're born connected to us and want to be with us. So they deserve to be included as much as possible, is how I feel. But so exactly how you've taught them that, you see that they can understand that threshold. You can't come in. It's the same as you can't go out. I could leave the door open and they can't go out unless they look to me and I say, you can go. Right. And that plays into everything. Running in front of cars, knocking down kids, going after other dogs. Right. That threshold is exactly what I'm talking about. The fifth big stuff rule is no stealing food. And what I mean by stealing is, you can't come after food unless you're given food or told, yes, you can eat that, because, dogs will act different around food than they act any other time, especially if another dog is around. So you have to have this calmness around food and this respect for food in the house. You can't come up and take it out of a kid's hand, right? Because, dogs are more physically capable than a 2 or 3 year old. And so they're going to get it out of their hands. And once that happens, then you're going to start moving into aggression and nipping and all that kind of stuff. So, food has to be very, very, they have to be very respectful around food.
Does this include the begging? Begging for food. They're not allowed to beg for food.
Well, parents teach their dogs to beg for food by giving them food when they're begging. So it's like you can teach them to be calm also exactly the same way. They're accidentally teaching them to beg because you're not paying attention to the timing, which is very covered in the beginning of the book. It's the timing of when you can give your dog table food. You can give your dog any food you want. I'm not speaking from a veterinary standpoint. Obviously, that's your arena. But you can give them a piece of your food as long as they're respectful and they sit back. Then I will give them a piece of food, right? But you can't come up on me and be like, causing all that. And dogs are so capable of all this. They're so capable of all this kind of self-control and making choices. And, they move proudly through life when they know what rules are allowed and I'm allowed to do this. And all that anxiety is relieved because here's the 5 things we concentrate on. You can't do those things. Otherwise, now you can be off duty on this. You don't have to try to think you're going to be able to get out the door if you can get there fast enough, or you're going to be able to get to this food if you can fight there fast enough. All that stuff gets relieved. And then you see, the anxiety come down, the calmness come down, the respect come in where they look to you for things. We already have that connection. All we need to do is play into it instead of keeping going back to this dog training mindset where you keep on thinking about tricks for treats or some kind of harsh consequence. Doesn't need to be harsh to teach.
You talk about being a thorn bush. Where does that term come from and what does that mean? So when I say a thorn bush, I use it as something that I've just come up with to explain to people how you can replicate nature in your parenting, and that's how you remain emotionally neutral. But it doesn't have to be physical, but you have to find a way to replicate what a thorn bush or Mother Nature would be if the dog was just out in the yard. So I explain it like this. Say a dog is out just running through the field and we're having a happy, jog along the field, and they come upon a thorn bush and they accidentally poke them, and they're like, oh, and they think the dog equivalent of, oh, well, that's not good. I'm not going to get near that thing again. Right. They're not emotionally distraught. They don't, they're not afraid to go outside anymore because of it. They're not afraid of a human to happen to be standing beside them. They just learn that teaching moment happens, and then they just go on running through the field, and they've just learned something. There was no human anger involved. I mean, the thorn bush was emotionally neutral when it passed out Mother Nature's tiny little correction, right? So it made sense to his dog mind, and it was respectful to him because he's just like, that's just how it is. Right. And there was it's when you're bringing that human anger and you're being harsh or you're bringing that or over permissive that things get mixed up.
right? So you could replicate that. I'm the thorn bush. It's like, no, that's just the rules. Here's the rules. We can't do that, right? If you
I
think
like that.
that way in your mind, that's why I came up with that, to kind of describe it. Not that you need to poke your dog with a thorn bush.
No. I was driving around this morning and I had my son next to me in the car and I was thinking thorn bush and I was thinking, okay, you're comparing pet parenting to human parenting. I was thinking, I think sometimes my son must think I'm a bit prickly. but I was thinking, but at least the thorn bush, I like the analogy because it doesn't move. And like you say, it's firm in the ground. And like you said, it's not going after any confrontation, but it's very, subtle in terms of corrective measures. So I think that was,
it's just,
like
it's just like, this is not, it's not,
it's a boundary.
And it's a boundary and it's just logical and it's common sense. And this is what he's learned from being outside, that just don't get near the thorn bush. But it's not like he's, he has fear, anger, aggression in the rest of his life because of it. So when you think about applying this guidance like Mother Nature would, like I just give the thorn bush as an example because
it's good.
It helps people remain emotionally neutral when they think of it that way. And that's the key to most everything, is being emotionally neutral. These are the rules, blah, blah, blah. But here's what you could do. And then going in with the super excitement about the things you can do. You can't bring excitement in when you're using the what's not allowed recipe. That has to be neutral. Okay. Treats can't be involved and excitement can't be involved. But then at the end of the recipe, when you go to show them the thing, that's when you bring in excitement. So it's the timing of this guidance you're giving.
And you're very involved, I see from your social media accounts, you're very involved in rehabilitation and managing a lot of these rescue animals because you've seen the consequences of poor training, people are not managing maybe like breed selection where it's not been appropriate. Like how often do you advise when you're in a position to about getting an appropriate breed potentially or animal that is going to be able to blend into your home and your lifestyle, particularly because we know that there's major breed variation, unlike, our cats. We get some, but with our dogs, we have that to consider. So how do you approach that subject? Particularly, I think most people have to speak to you when they've got a problem, but when you're talking to friends and family and saying, this could be avoided by.
So for me, and this is I've proven this through my work and study all these years. Everything that I have in this book and all the recipes and prescriptions work on all dogs, regardless of. And this is what people find shocking. They're like, really? And it's like, it's true. And then when you see it, you realize it's true, that it works on all dogs, regardless of sex, breed, age, previous experience, anything. What's in this book, these recipes and prescriptions, and this parenting philosophy works on all of them. Where breed comes into play is when you get to the fulfillment section, right? And that's where the breed really comes into play because you've got to fulfill your dog with these, and here's a bunch of options for filling them psychologically, mentally and physically. But when you see, a hunting dog going to want to go at this type of a toy, like modern family dogs need a skill of really focusing on toys. And a lot of traumatized dogs will not play with toys. They could even, there's been rescue dog after rescue dog, they won't play with toys. When they have problems, when there's a lot of aggression or fear, they just don't play with toys. And that's one of the symptoms on here that you can help see what level of fear and aggression it is. They just don't play with toys. They might go and you roll one and they kind of go after a little bit, but then they just stop and then go back to what they're used to doing, which is watching for kid chaos or searching down noises or what they've become. They believe that they're supposed to be doing, and that's why it's gone off the rails with their behavior and their happiness. So we need happiness and well-behaved. So we got to create the happiness part with the fulfillment and the firm but supportive parenting guidance. And so that's when you're doing the fulfillment, breed really comes into play because it's like, hunting dogs, like they're attracted to paper. Like you can see if they're attracted to paper and they want those crunchy toys, it's like feathers. So replicate that hunting for them, let them stare up into trees, let them, do a lot of these toys, that kind of hunting behavior. Herding dogs, obviously, watch out for this. You've got to do this. You cannot have them going after children. First it's the heels, then it's the elbow. Next thing you know, it's the face they're trying to nip. So you got to fulfill that herding drive with all the different toys and the different ways of using these toys. And then part of the reason why people can't fulfill their dog is because they don't know how to teach them to come every time they call, retrieve things, and then drop them so that they can be thrown again. So those are their family skills, which I teach. And those, again, are concentrating on, I think it's like 6 family skills: come, drop it. Because, there's a controversy about whether you can play tug with a dog, right? You've probably heard that because it's like, but play tug, I think you can play tug, but only if they know to drop it when you say drop it, right? They have to drop their end when you say it. But tug is a great game, and it's when the weather's bad, you can, you probably don't have that as much there, but when the weather's bad, you can exercise them out and blow off some of that steam before you take them out to walk, or before you're gonna teach them something, another family skill. You need many options because of dogs' breeds, they kind of like tend towards certain things. And once you pick up on that, then you start really going towards that. The parent really starts concentrating on giving them a lot of that thing that they naturally want through their DNA. So then once they're fulfilled, then you can teach them good behavior. They can't be one without the other.
And I don't want to
you have to have happiness and well. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, I don't want to lose the opportunity to ask you about your view on, and I ask all behavioral consultants and experts on this, the difference you find castration and spaying, I suppose, has on behavioral issues. What is your advice when you're tackling something that may be associated with hormones?
Well, aside from a health standpoint, which is your arena, I feel like obviously there's a giant, huge pet overpopulation. So unless you're, a very responsible breeder who's, doing it correctly and making sure that no dog ends up in a shelter that's yours and all that responsible stuff and is healthy. If you're not doing that, then I don't know a reason why they shouldn't be castrated or spayed, because there's no question that, an unfixed male has got a lot more, aggression and stuff going on. Not that they can't be controlled, but there's an obvious behavior difference between it. I always see one, because I worked in rescue so much, they're all spayed and neutered. I'll get a few here or there that haven't gotten it yet, but they're spayed and neutered. So I wouldn't want to not do that, I guess, is my answer. I think it does have an effect. To the full extent it has an effect, I actually probably couldn't give an opinion on that, because, the guidance I would still give, and it just might be like 10% less effective, that you're constantly, it's the difference between a dog who's wired in a real laid back way and a dog that's not laid back. You got to adjust your guidance, the amount of level you bring to your guidance. Like Absolutely. That, it'd be the same with the one that was not fixed. They would have a little higher level of stubbornness, for the lack of a better word.
And I suppose my final parting question, because I know that we're running out of time, and I also don't want to lose the opportunity. Can you do this with a dog of any age, or is this better to try and, as you get the puppy, it's going to be easier to reinforce when they are in that socialization period. You're far less likely to have to do corrective measures. But can you teach an old dog new tricks? Yes, that is a big fallacy that it's brought on by all this typical training mindset. Yes, as a vet, there are physical issues that you have to deal with. You can't run a dog, obviously, that's 14 years old and has a hip problem. But, there are a lot of ways to do mental stimulation and everything. But yes, there's not been a single dog, regardless of age, breed, anything, that did not respond to the techniques that I've developed. Not one. Wow. I know it sounds like I'm like making this stuff up, but I'm not. I'm confident in it because I've done it over and over and over. When you do something for 28 years, it's like I've seen the worst of the worst. So some things in the book will be like, as you read them, it might be written more towards puppy, as in the perfect potty section, the potty training and the comforting crate sections and recipes. You might be like, it might be told a little bit more from a puppy perspective, but every single thing works for any dog, any age. And any size. Like you said, any breed.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to read your book. I'm very curious as to your
We will definitely
technique.
get it to you.
Yeah, and then I'll definitely give you some feedback. But it's very
Love
interesting
to.
approach. Thank you very much for taking the time today to discuss it. Well done. Congratulations on it. I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
And
you.
Geez, I'm very excited to see your work, go far and wide. I think what you're doing is phenomenal. And if we can be keeping our pets within our homes rather than, like you say, them ending up in rescue organizations or having less engagement with them because they're a nuisance, I think that is it's a win-win situation for all involved. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. That's the mission. It's like I feel like every book that's sold is another dog, at least one dog that's going to stay in its home. So,
Absolutely.
That's what drives me and keeps me going forward with it. And so I really appreciate you having me on.
No, fantastic. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pause and Effect podcast. Angie Winters has given us a lot to think about when it comes to how we raise our dogs, challenging the conventional wisdom of training and introducing a more holistic, nurturing approach. If this conversation has resonated with you, I encourage you to check out Angie's book, Don't Train Your Dog, for more insights. Remember, every interaction with your dog is an opportunity to strengthen your bond and guide them in a way that fosters both confidence and calmness. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast, share it with fellow pet owners, and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you expert advice and new perspectives on pet care. Until next time, take care and continue to build a strong and supportive relationship with your pets. Don't forget to give them a big hug from me. Welcome back to Just for Pets. You're with Dr. Cara.
Hello, Doctor. It's Chanel the Persian. And, I can't seem to stop retching to get this hairball up.
Are you on a special diet?
Excuse me?
Hairball control food will really help, and maybe some Laxapet. And lucky for you, Just for Pets have a big range.
Well, how early can I get some?
Order today, and we'll deliver pronto.
Wow, I feel better already.
Justforpets.co.za. Vet approved, pet adored. Get it all to your door.